if you want to attract customers to you, the very first thing that we need to attract is attention, because we can't have conversations, we can't build relationships without attention first. It is always the starting point of any relationship, of any conversation. So let's look a little bit of how we can actually grab someone's attention. And like you guys know, I love using practical examples. So today we're going to really focus on copy that you write on your post, because it's so important. Like no matter what, even if you're posting a video or if you're posting on Facebook or Instagram, we're always going to use copy as that's something that draws people in. And really what I'm going to focus on is the headline. So the very first sentence that you write in your post, because that is really the very first thing that people are going to see, and that needs to grab people's attentions. And I want to use it, like I said, an example here, and I'm going to focus in on using questions to grab your customers' attention. And questions are very, very powerful, because we all naturally are asking ourselves questions all the time, especially as it relates to the problems we're facing in our life. So, again, you're always, as a business, you're always solving a problem for someone. So if you can tap into their mind and really pull out those questions they're asking themselves all the time, and you put them at the top of your post, you immediately are going to grab their attention, because this is really about focusing on them and focusing on what they're thinking. And this has such a magnetic effect. I've gotten messages from my audience before, and they're like, what the hell, it feels like you're in my head at the moment, right? Because that's what really I think great copy writing is about. It's getting into your customer's head. So let me give you a real practical example. So for example, this video, which is all about grabbing attention with your copy, what kind of question is my customer thinking? Now, if I take the very kind of basic approach, and even a basic approach would work well here, is I might formulate it in a way of how can I grab attention with my copy, right? Like that might be a question that they're asking themselves, and I could just put that at the very top of my post, and then let my post create the story from there. But what works even better is if the more intimately the personality and what your ideal customer is like, the more intimate you can become with that question. So I know my ideal customers pretty well, so they're probably not just going to think like, how do I grab attention with my copy? They're probably going to be like, how the hell do I get people to pay attention to my posts? Or why is everyone reading my posts, right? Or what can I do for people to pay attention to me? Or why is nobody liking this post? So do you mean like by knowing, the more intimately I know my customer, the more I know the language they're going to be using? And like even like I said, because I know my customer is going to be a bit more sassy, like even adding something like, why the hell is nobody reading my post, right? Now this is where it's so important to know your customer. More than any other time before, copywriting has today in the internet world, where there's so much information available to us, right? Copywriting really used to be like, how can I attract the mass audience? And today it's really the opposite. Like, how can I niche down and really attract the person that I most want to reach, and using their specific language. And like I said, this is where you want to know and really get into your own customer's head, because like I said, my customer might say something like, what the hell? The next one won't. And I'll tell you my trick, it's not a trick, but the skill of being a good copywriter. When somebody hires me to write copy for them, because now I'm no longer speaking in my voice or speaking to my customer, I have to move over to that brand or that person that I'm writing the copy for. So the way I get great copy is by asking that person, asking the brand questions about their own customer, because like I said, I need to get a feel of who they are, what they would do, what kind of language would they be using. And it's really in that question, it's the same way when I'm teaching people how to write great copy. It's really by asking them the right questions and allowing them to see that they already have all the information available to them, that's the best copy, right? Like no matter how skilled I am as a copywriter or content creator, I'm never going to be able to write better copy without the information of the customer, if that makes sense. So try this for yourself, and the practice you can kind of take from today. And this is why, honestly, I believe one of the best things that anybody can do to become a better copywriter is actually take up a spiritual practice, or a mindset practice. Like practice something like gratitude or compassion or opening up your heart or loving yourself more. Because the more we do that, the more we open up our own hearts and focus on these things, the more you'll be able to actually have the compassion and have the empathy to get into somebody else's head and hear their voice in your head and focus on their problem and see it from their perspective and hear their language rather than hearing your own voice of fear, right? Because we've all got the voice of fear going on in our head as well, which is like, oh, how am I going to make money, and how am I going to, hit this target, and how am I going to make more sales or grow the business or whatever. That's all what our ego does. It's focusing on us and it's focusing on what I want, right? And on all of my fears. And it really is a skill of, like I said, this is a much more of a mental skill than anything else, to put that aside and really focus on the customer. What do they want? What are their challenges? What are their problems? And how can I step in and help with those, right? And the very first step is knowing what they actually want, so I can put it in my copy and so I can attract them into my world to help them. So sit down, take a few minutes, and just the best way you can really do this is take a bit of time and really be still for a little bit, perhaps even do a bit of gratitude, like focus on all the things that you're really grateful for in your life so you really feel good, and then you can even focus on your customers and really imagine in your own head like your perfect customer, the customer that you love or that you already have, or your ideal customer, and you're just so grateful for them, and you're so grateful that you can help them and that you make them happy by solving the problem they have. And then you can really imagine them, before you came into their life and when they were still dealing with that problem. And that's when you really enter their world. Like, you really imagine being them and being in their head and listening to the voices. I know it sounds kind of a little bit weird, but that's honestly what I do. And that's what the great skill of a copywriter and content creator is you move into that person and you literally, like I said, I don't often have to think. It doesn't take me long to write great copy when I'm in this, in that good headspace, because I hear it. I hear it straight away, and then I know, what to write, and I know what kind of content I need to create. So, give this a try if you've never done this copywriting that way, and think about some of the questions that, your ideal customer is asking themselves around the problems that you solve, and then write a post, just try it out, like see if what I'm saying to you is, really works, and practice it and test it out. And I think you'll be amazed how quickly people respond when these are always, honestly, most of my top performing posts, especially as it comes to attracting customers, is always when I use questions like that, or when I'm really, really focusing in on the pain problem that my customer has. So give it a go. Let me know any questions that you have on this video, or in general around content creation. I always love hearing from you guys. That's always what inspires more of my content. If you are part of our Facebook group community, please do share your stories. Share if you use this and you have success with it. We'd love to hear your stories and to see your progress. You can share your copy with us. So again, if you want to try this technique, if you're not in our Facebook group, come and join us over at Jen Rotman on Facebook. You'll find the Facebook group on my page. And if you're watching this on Instagram or on LinkedIn, please again still let me know your thoughts and everything below in the comments. If you want to follow me over on Instagram, it's Jen_Rotman. This is where I create more of my kind of creative inspirational content, so you can see different sides of content and how I create it to the different platforms as well. And yeah, other than that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and have a beautiful time until I see you next.